Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Fresh off of a community guidelines violation. But we ain't fucking scared, because guess what? They can hold us down, they can ban us, they can cancel videos, but we are going to keep speaking the truth. And we are going to address uncomfortable situations because no one wants to talk about them without whining and crying. So, let's get into it. So today, I stumbled across an article. I shouldn't say stumbled. My wife sent it to me. And it is about a new form that has hit the Lee County School District in which I live in. And it coincides with the Parents' Bill of Rights and all the applicable things that go along with it that were labeled by critics the Don't Say Gay bill. And this form actually requires that transgendered students, or those that identify as transgendered, upon arrival to school at the start of this school year, they were told to report to the front office, and they were given a form. And on that form, they were expected to identify their name of their choice, their new name, and they were supposed to identify their pronouns. And then they were to take the form home, have their parents sign it, and return it back to the school. And per the school, this would be locked in their confidential file. It's not going to be disseminated to the world. And going forward, the school staff would be required to identify them in the manner in which they choose to identify. I feel like I'm a female. You now have to identify me as a female based off of this form that I signed, right? Fair enough. Except not. One of the students, whose name will be etched out to protect their privacy, one of the students that the article focuses on is from what I'm gathering from reading, is a female to male transgendered student who now identifies as a male. And the student feels that the transgendered students are being singled out. The fear being that many of the students may not have outed themselves as transgender to their parents, and completing this form could potentially force them into a sticky situation where they have to out themselves to their parents. Fair enough concern, understandable. But now the students are speaking out because they feel that Governor DeSantis is now attacking transgendered students with such a horrific act, forcing them to come out and tell their parents their truth, right? And I use air quotes because I hate the term their truth, not because I'm discrediting transgender people. Calm the fuck down. The transgendered male in question's parent spoke to the media and said that they felt concern over this because it could potentially put their child on a list. She then follows up by saying, and I quote, "Being on a list is never a good thing." So let's start there. Let's start there because I want to make it a short, sweet little snippet, and then we're going to get into the rest of the stuff. I really, really like and appreciate that you said being on a list is never a good thing. Why? Thanks for asking. Because where was that sentiment when y'all were pushing for gun control and y'all were demanding that Americans who own guns be put on lists? Where was that same energy when liberal states were trying to force people into lockdowns and trying to demonize unvaccinated people, and you wanted to force unvaccinated people to be on lists so they couldn't get health care in hospitals and things of that nature. Why is it okay to put responsible gun owners on lists and unvaccinated COVID patients on lists? But protecting someone's gender identity is somehow immune, exempt from your lists. I'll tell you why. Because just like Gen Z, the liberals, the crazy leftists, just like with everything else, let's do as I say, not as I do. Oh, this is horrible, unless I'm going to do it to you. Don't you dare do that to me, but I'm going to do it to you. And that's exactly how today's society is. One group gets to be the one that kicks the other one in the junk, and the one that gets kicked in the junk doesn't get to say a fucking thing about it. Otherwise, they're racist, homophobic, xenophobic, fill in the blank with whatever other new made-up fucking phobia that they decided that they were going to point a finger and accuse somebody of being today. So now back to the entire thing. I want to start by saying that I do understand. I empathize with the fact that you've decided, you've learned about yourself, that you are this transgendered person. And you may not be comfortable or be ready to tell your parents about it. I can empathize with that, sure. Unfortunately, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. This is what Gen Z does, and this is what the liberal left does. They stomp their feet, they hold their breath, they throw temper tantrums, they cry, they throw out terms like triggered and all these other phobias. And then you give them exactly what they want, and it's not enough. Or it's not done the way that they're comfortable with it. You literally have a form by state law that has to be filled out, and it forces teachers who may not agree with your perspective on this matter. It forces them by law to acknowledge you and to address you, ignoring science, ignoring everything about biology, and go based strictly off of your feelings, how you feel about yourself. And they are required by law to address you in a certain way. That's what you asked for. That's what you're being given. But now there's a problem, and the problem is you may have to tell your family. This is part of growing up, children. This is a big part of growing up. Sometimes you have to have conversations that you're not comfortable with or you're not ready for. And I understand that this is a traumatic thing for people. I get that, and I can empathize with that. I don't sympathize with it because I have not been through something like that, but I can empathize with that. The problem is, and what you're forgetting is, when you enroll your child in a school, you have to do a multitude of things. You have to make sure that they've got all their vaccines, and then you have to then provide documentation, private medical documentation that the world should not be privy to. You have to provide it to the school to prove that your children are in fact vaccinated. Then you have to fill out paperwork that has your child's name. It has their gender. It has all that nifty shit that this form asks of you. You're being treated like everyone else. You got exactly what you claim you were asking for. You're getting treated like everyone else. There's no difference in the treatment. The only difference is you're not comfortable with the steps that you have to take, the accountability that you have to take to stand up and discuss it with your family. And that's tough. I know. Not every family is accepting or understanding or agrees. I, I hear you. But we can't just willy-nilly go around doing everything everybody wants at all times. You're being given what you asked for. These are the tough conversations that need to be had. And honestly, I don't have a feeling about it as far as this, that, or the other. I don't have a feeling because I don't have to work in the school and be forced to do something that some of these teachers may not be comfortable with. I don't. Ask me again when my child gets in trouble because they may or may not use the appropriate pronouns for somebody. Ask me again then and we'll see. I'll probably have an opinion then. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is uncomfortable for you. I'm sorry that it triggers you. I'm sorry that it upsets you. But life is only going to get harder from here on out. It is. My children have learned that at a very young age. Life doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about you being white, black, Hispanic. It doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care about your sexual orientation. Life is going to kick the shit out of you no matter who you are. Don't think as a white guy that I've got this squeaky, nice, smooth, easy life. Because trust me, you get kicked in the junk regardless. You're going to have to figure this out. Good luck to you. Honestly. Deep in my soul, no sarcasm, 100% honest. Good luck to you. I hope you figure it out. I hope you get through it. But this is how it has to be.